Okay, logicians, today we're talking about the first part of chapter 5. Chapter 5 discusses categorical propositions. So we're only going to be covering 4 sections of this chapter. Sections A, B, a little bit of C I'll touch on, it's very short, and then D and E. And today in this video, we're just going to start off with sections A and B. So we're going to introduce you to categorical propositions, into the concepts of quantity, quality, and distribution. Categorical logic was developed by the great philosopher Aristotle, who lived in the 4th century BC. He developed his logic as a foundation for science. And Aristotle's logic was based all upon a system of classification, groups of objects, and how they relate to each other. So a categorical proposition is a proposition that says, here's how one object or set of objects relates to another object or set of objects. It relates to classes of objects. When I talk about a class, I just mean a group of objects. Every single categorical proposition is going to have a subject term and a predicate term. And there are 4 different types of categorical propositions. Now, subjects and predicates are terms which you're probably familiar with from English class when you studied grammar. The subject is what you're talking about, and the predicate is like what you say of it or what you say about it. So in other words, the subject term is going to be the subject of the verb, and the predicate term is going to be like the verbal part of the sentence. So in this one, all stand-up comedians are witty persons. The subject of the verb are is stand-up comedians. That's the subject term. So that's the group that's the subject class. And then you're predicating of them that they are witty persons. And so witty persons is the predicate term. The verb in all of these categorical propositions will be the verb to be. These things are these things. Some of these are these. So there's 4 standard forms of categorical propositions, and logicians symbolize them or abbreviate them as saying, well, there's the A form, the I form, the E form, and the O form. An A-type categorical proposition is one that says all S are P. The I type says some S are P. The E says no S are P. And the O type says that some S are P. Now, 2 of these standard forms are universal, the A and the E. And they are both saying something about an entire class, all the members of a certain group. All of the S's are such and such. None of the S's are such and such. 2 of the standard forms are particular. They're only talking about some members of the subject group. So the I statements just say some S's are P, and O say some S's are not P. 2 of the standard forms are affirmative. They say what things are. So those are the A and the I. All S are, some S are. And then 2 are negative. The O's say some S are not. And the E's say no S are. I'll say more about the E-type one in a second, because I'll say more. Okay, so let's walk slowly through each of those 4 different standard forms. First of all, you've got the universal affirmative categorical proposition. This is your A-type proposition. It says all S are P, saying all the members of the S group also belong to the P group. So if I say all cell phones are expensive toys, the subject class is cell phones, the predicate term is expensive toys, and we're saying that every member of the S group is also a member of the P group. It's universal because it's got the all. It's affirmative because it's saying what they are. Universal negative, the form that says no S or P, and these are the E-type propositions, and they're saying that no members of the subject class belong to the predicate class. So if I say no cell phones are expensive toys, I'm saying none of the members of the cell phone group are members of the expensive toy group. Now, I sometimes find it helpful to, in my mind, to be able to translate the no SRP and to know that it's equivalent to saying that all S are not P. For certain purposes, especially when we get to conversion and obversion and contrapositives in the next video, it is helpful in my mind to know that. No SRP is equivalent to saying all S are not P. And if you think of it that way, then the universals are both making a statement about what all the subject items are. Well, rather, the universal affirmative is saying all the S are P. The universal negative is saying all the S are not P. Structurally, that can simplify in my head for me. But those are equivalent. No S are P and all S are not P. The particular affirmative says some S are P. This is your I-type statement. Now, when we say that some items are such and such, we're saying, I mean, how many is some? Some means at least one. At least one, and maybe many more. Maybe even all the members. But the point is, it means at least one. So if I say some cell phones are expensive toys, that might mean that one cell phone is an expensive toy and all the rest aren't. It might mean that 2 or 3 or 4 cell phones are expensive toys and the rest aren't. It might even be the case that all the cell phones are expensive toys. The point is, some means that at least one is an expensive toy. At least one member of the subject class is also a member of the predicate class. So that's the particular affirmative. And then finally, you've got the particular negative, which says simply that some S are not P. So some cell phones are not expensive toys. And what that means is there is at least one cell phone, at least one member of the subject class, which does not belong to the expensive toys. Maybe none of them do. Maybe 4 of them do. But the point is that at least some cell phones, at least one cell phone, is not an expensive toy. All right, so what we need to be able to do is to identify the subject and the predicate of a categorical proposition, and to be able to identify which of the 4 standard forms it belongs to. So can you do that with this? What is the subject of this proposition? Some political documentaries are shows deserving of acclaim. Yes, good. The subject is political documentaries. That's the subject term. And what's the predicate term? Right. Shows deserving of acclaim. Now, which of the 4 standard forms is this? Yes, very good. It's an I-type form. I-type proposition. Very good. So you need to be able to do that all day long very easily. You know, you're probably just going to have to commit these A-E-I-O to memory. So it's immediate. It'll come very quickly to you. All right, now we want to learn the topics of quantity, quality, and distribution, but maybe we should do that in a separate video. I'll stop for here.